Why does Europe have few skyscrapers? You may have noticed while traveling around Europe or on TV that many of these destinations don't tend to have soaring skyscrapers on the skyline. The European Union has virtually few or no skyscrapers, except the newly built one like the Chad, which is located in London. There are also series of newly built state-funded skyscrapers in Moscow. But on the other hand, if you look at Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, Taipei, Tokyo, etc., you see the whole skyline full of skyscrapers. Why is it so? Is Europe avoiding skyscrapers? Does Europe forbid skyscrapers, or is there any law behind this? Well, in this video, we are going to look at why Europe is not building skyscrapers. Most of the major European cities were already well established when skyscrapers were introduced in Chicago and New York. The city centers were already taken up by grand old buildings, and the European government didn't want to get rid of their heritage and traditions in place of tower blocks. So if that is the case, why hasn't Europe built many skyscrapers in recent years? When you think about the skyscrapers being a relatively modern invention, it seems obvious as to why ancient cities like Rome and Athens don't have tower blocks on every corner. But why today? Since space is such a premium, is there still a limit to the number of skyscrapers built in Europe? After the destruction caused in the Second World War, you would think Europe would take the opportunity to redesign their cities. However, Europe actually did the opposite and tried to restore much of the heritage and traditions that they had before. Rather than modernizing, they simply recreated old architectural designs. The space, therefore, was again taken up with a large number of low-rise and, needless to say, beautiful buildings. In addition, the post-war population figures were low, and the demand for countless skyscrapers simply didn't exist. Another reason that Europeans still doesn't have many skyscrapers is due to planning regulations and restrictions that came into place in the 1960s and 70s. Before these regulations were put in place, some cities, most notably Brussels, started demolishing older buildings and replacing them with more modern buildings and to many more unsightly structures. This led to the coining of the term Brusselization, for the description of a city being taken over by unattractive, soulless high-rise buildings. This in conjunction with the bland utilitarian mid-rise blocks that were constantly being erected in the ever-expanding Soviet Union meant that there was a distinct dislike for the tower blocks, and building regulations were put in place to ensure that European charm was not replaced by these architectural monstrosities. The building regulations require architects to uphold the cultural fabric of the city in any new build design. Many cities even decided to have dedicated areas of the city in which to allow skyscrapers so as to ensure the high-rise development did not encroach on the cultural and historical centers. Areas like Canary Wharf in London and La Défense in Paris are set aside from the main city and are architecturally interesting in their own way. London in particular has regulations in place that ensures historical buildings such as St. Paul Cathedral, Big Ben, Westminster Palace have unrestricted views from vast distances. Architects are therefore restricted when planning new projects and must not interrupt these protected views. So to put everything together, Europe has few skyscrapers because they have a long history of great architecture, which is well preserved even in the face of modern developments. Also, the density of existing metro spaces will make it difficult to cite a major project where it will get the appropriate attention. And if by any chance there is a space to build one, it may be too far away from metro cities. So finally, many Europeans, they don't look at skyscrapers as a sole priority which they need to attract tourists like the Asians or Americans will do. So there you have it, the reasons that Europe doesn't tend to have skyscrapers and the top destinations that do or don't have high-rise buildings. So if you want to visit Europe, Europe is a home to a whole host of stunning bucket list worthy destinations that are just begging to be explored. So what are you waiting for? Pack your bags and move to Europe to explore the beautiful things Europe has to offer. Now you finish watching this video. This channel covers civil engineering structures. So it will do the channel a help if you can kindly hit the red subscribe button below and turn on the bell notification icon to be notified when we upload a new civil engineering video. With that being said, you all take good care of yourself. Bye bye.